Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the KFS pregame show. I'm Andrew. He is XJ. We are here to preview the Knicks matchup against the Minnesota Timberwolves tonight in Minnesota. The Knicks come in at 4-5, sitting at the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference. And Timberwolves come in at 5-5. And boy, when we get into the numbers, is a middle, not too hot, not too cold team. The exact way to describe this team. Thank you as always to everybody for tuning in. As always, we are also brought to you by the fine folks at Wynnbet. Head to wynnbet.com or download the Wynnbet app. That's WYNNBET.com to start winning. Sign up today to receive a special offer. Bet 100, win 100. That's bet 100, win $100. Download, bet, win. XJ, you haven't been here in a minute. So much has happened in the meantime. So my question on how are you and what's your temperature of the team would have changed depending on literally what minute I would have asked you this over the last week. Was it after the Hawks game? Was it before the Hawks game? Was it after the Philly game? Was it before the Philly game? So if you could wrap up your thoughts, or not wrap up, but like summarize your thoughts of the last week in Knicksland in a few minutes, go right ahead. How are you feeling about this team?
So I just got to say, like, I have been really even keel about it, to be honest. I know, like you said, it feels like everything's changing minute by minute of every single game of the last two games. But, I was just kind of chilling on vacation, watching the games. And I'm just like, it's rough. It's rough to watch. It's tough to watch a lot of the things that have been going on. But at the same time, it's like, this is part of what you expect for a middling team like the Knicks. I haven't seen anything that's like shocked me. Yeah, we're going to blow big leads. Yeah, we're going to give up 27 threes. I mean, we'll get into that because that's something I definitely want to talk about. But yeah, I think generally I'm still feeling how I was feeling before, like pretty content. Like, this is nothing unexpected. This is nothing I didn't think would happen. I think I said 42 wins and I thought that was optimistic. I think we're on par for that. It's a middling team. And yeah, I mean, hopefully a couple of things turn around, like we see progress in the right direction. But overall, this is kind of what I expected. You're going to have some really, really low lows, some decent highs, and for the rest of the time, just kind of stay even keel.
So let's actually get into the threes now, because that's something you've pointed out a lot throughout the pregame shows. And look, I actually tend to think that not necessarily that like it works every time to pack the paint, let them shoot as many threes as possible. The Knicks are last in the NBA in 3-point attempts allowed per game. They allow over 41 3-pointers a game to the opposing team. So the strategy, the process is working. They are packing the paint and not letting a lot of twos happen. But on nights when the Cavaliers or the Celtics are shooting, their franchise best percentage from three, or at least they're going to make their franchise best from three, it is a little tough. Is your issue the strategy as a whole, or is your issue with it the strategy pertaining to the Knicks roster? Because I guess my only questions are, as far as like they shouldn't do this or they should adjust this, is like, do they have the personnel to be like the Raptors or the Celtics or other teams that guard the perimeter better?
This is the question. So you just asked the question. So for me, like, I've been really reluctant to be too critical of a Tom Thibodeau defense. Like, Tibbs has definitely forgotten more about NBA defense than I'll ever know in my entire life. I'm super readily able to admit that. At the same time, I don't see how this is a sustainable strategy for the modern NBA. And that's just in general. That's without regard to the Knicks specific roster. Now, looking at the roster and the personnel and the kind of effort level that you get from some of the players on the team, and the kind of basketball defensive instinct that you have for some of the players on the team, I think it's a non-starter to play that way with this roster. I don't see how you can continue to do it. I don't see how Tibbs feels like this is the way to go. It's going to turn around. It hasn't worked. It was bad last year. It's really bad this year. I wanted to say a couple of things. So one thing I want to say is,
just real quick to clarify,
sure. You can jump on that.
You're saying the strategy of pack the paint, rim protection, 48 minutes. You don't think
that they're doing it. The way that they're doing it. So the way that they're doing
okay.
it, the issue I have with it is on the strong side, the ball side. What they'll do is they'll have the defender who's guarding the corner. So that's a defender one pass away. That person will have like 2 feet in the paint almost at all times. That way the defender can't get back out to even guard the three. So typically what you'll see is like the weak side defender will kind of guard 2 guys. So one guy in the wing from 3 and one guy in the corner, and they'll kind of like shade the middle and they'll just go to wherever the ball gets kicked out to. And that's like normal defense in the NBA. The way that the Knicks have been doing it's on the strong side, one pass away, which is like you hear this adage from coaches, never help one pass away. That's like the principle that they're basing it on, which is so strange to me. The other aspect of it that's strange is that Tibbs in Chicago, when he kind of really was the defensive wizard and known for that as a head coach, played the complete opposite kind of defense. So let me be clear, stayed out at all guys on both sides on the corners and was just like, okay, you're going to run pick and roll. One of the guys in the pick and roll is going to shoot. You're not getting open threes. You're not getting spray outs to open threes. It's not going to happen. So this is like the complete 180 from Tibbs earlier in his career. It's really strange. It's really strange. I don't really have an explanation for it, and I don't think it works. I think it really doesn't work with this roster.
So could that possibly, because I feel like it worked the first year, though. Now, I don't want to take all of the data from the first year and throw it out because of empty gyms, but I understand we have to look at it differently. I do the same thing with baseball. It's like, oh, why is these no? Oh, that's the year we played with no fans and you only played in your own time zone. It doesn't get thrown out completely, but you do have to look at it. And plus, it was like a 60-game season, so it's tough. The We Hear season, I feel like a lot of the commentary from people like yourself, from everybody drink Zach Lowe, is like they're getting a lot of missed wide open threes.
Yep.
And now that fans are back in buildings, that seems to not have worked. I do wonder if against certain teams it does, but like the first game that the Knicks played against the Thunder last year, the game that Randall was out with health and safety protocols, everybody got their wish, and the Thunder, for the first time all season, the worst 3-point shooting team in the league, had their season best and one of their best nights from 3 in franchise history. And the pushback was like, well, why don't they switch up the strategy? Do you think they have the wings to play more of a perimeter style defense, so that way they kind of leave some, they put less emphasis on rim protection?
I think we have no idea. I think we need to see. I think we need to find out. Like, they're so afraid to switch anything. And we
they're
have
also
no
really
idea.
bad at switching too.
They're really bad at switching. They get confused a lot. Like it's really kind of like bumbling out there. It's very strange. But at the same time, like that's clearly not something they practice very much. I mean, just looking at the game. And at the same time, we don't know if I have no idea if Obi can guard wings. I don't know. I don't see him get an opportunity to do it. All I see is Obi trying to close out to guys and diving at them from the paint to the perimeter, like Zion blocking the shot at Duke. And it's like, there's no way that, that doesn't seem sustainable to me. Like, I want to see and see, maybe Tibbs knows, maybe they've tried it in practice and he says, you know what, these guys are so bad at guarding the perimeter. This is the only way that's feasible to play with this roster. And so I can give him that benefit of the doubt, but I don't know because I haven't seen it.
So that would be I'm going to sound like Macri here. This would be the pushback that I would give, is like, Tibbs has more information than us. And if they're watching in practice, and especially with Obi, where it's like he couldn't stop Kemba on the wing, he couldn't obviously now he couldn't stop Jalen Brunson. I am going to go on a limb and say Julius Randle can't. just from what I've seen on the court.
Julius Randle has been one of the worst defenders in the NBA this year. Yes. I hope that everybody understands that.
Do you have more context on that? Like, are there more impact stats that show that?
So definitely the impact stats reflect that. What we see so the impact metrics are definitely sample size driven. There aren't large enough samples to have results out from EPM, from LeBron, from some of these other major impact stats. But what we've seen so far from the 538 data, the Raptor data, definitely it's consistent with Julius being horrible defensively. And then just watching the games, like I watch every game and watch the replay of every game and just like possession by possession. And Macri did an amazing breakdown on the newsletter,
Mm-hmm.
looking at some of Randall's defense, and that stuff is consistent. That is not an aberration. That is not sometimes. That is constant. It's effort and instinct. It's awful. And on ball, like there's a lot of guys who are decent on ball. Carmelo Anthony was decent on ball, would get completely lost
Mm-hmm.
as a help defender. Like you don't know where he is. And that's, I don't really look at on ball defense to say whether a guy's good or not. When you look at this coverage that Tibbs runs and the fact that it's predicated on helping each other and helping the helper and rotating and effort and multiple efforts, Randall's like the worst guy that you could have
Yeah.
for a scheme like that. So I find it hard to believe that it would just be worse him trying to guard wings on the perimeter. Maybe it is, but that would mean he's like a non-tenable defensive basketball player.
I think that you might be onto something with that last sentence. I might just be a non-tenable defensive basketball player. Look, we gave him so much crap for how many games he started Alfred Payton that first year. And I guess his first year, Julius's second. I still don't necessarily think, like, if you're gonna just play him because you think his defense is above average, then Frank Ntilikina was sitting right there and could have given you the same offensive production.
Very true.
But they really tried to hide Julius, it seems. This is my theory based off of the last 3 seasons at Tibbs, that they tried to hide Julius and make his job solely offensive focused, where he would be the worst defender on the court 95% of the time. And between RJ and Reggie Bullock and Alfred Payton and Mitchell Robinson, you'll be able to have a sustainable defense that is what they're doing now. I guess if I were to try to get into the mind of Tibbs in some kind of offense, it's literally just that as long as the other team doesn't set their franchise record for threes tonight, we will be in it at the end, and that I'm okay with that. Like, that's what he's banking on, that the other team will not make 27 threes. And on nights that happens, there's no switch. I don't have the personnel to do that. It's funny. So we should mention Quentin Grimes is out tonight with foot soreness, which I'm starting to get a little worried about this foot injury. In a season that doesn't matter, maybe we should just let him go. Shooters and their feet injuries, that's a bad sign. Now, I might be overreacting. I can't. The resurgence of Cam Reddish makes me more comfortable with, let's just let him take the starting 2-guard role and see what happens. If you did have the wings, though, I would say there's a world you could try to hide this again and maybe adapt the way you're covering defensively. I do see the logic, though, of, look, you probably weren't going to beat the Celtics anyway. It was a 5-point game with a few minutes to go. As long as the other team just like again isn't making 27 threes, you'll have a shot. But I guess, we'll see. Especially, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say I have an idea for how you can hide Julius defensively.
Oh, please say.
So the idea is, it's really novel. Like, no one's probably thought of this, but you just put him over on the bench. That's how you hide him defensively. You play Obi Toppin. That's the way you do it. Because to be honest, like, I don't think, like, why does Julius get so many minutes if he's such a liability on the defense and Tibbs is such a defensive-minded coach? Like, I can't make that make sense.
Because he's under contract for the next 4 years and $106 million. And as much as that shouldn't matter.
Whoa. But we're talking about Thibodeau here. We're not talking about, this is not a front office decision. We're talking about the coach who plays the players, who gives them chance to win, regardless of contracts, regardless of all these outside factors that go into that come into play, that we look at as fans. Oh, we need development, we need this and that. Tibbs is not thinking about that. He's thinking about win this game tonight. And why does he think Julius gives him the best opportunity to win if he's so bad defensively?
Do you have better impact stats that show that Obi is like a significant leap above Julius? I understand, like, just going to like just below average is a leap from Julius Randle, but
so basically impact metrics at both last year and this year have Obi at either a neutral defender or slightly below average.
Okay.
Which that's way better.
That's better than Julius.
That's better than
look, I've conceded to the I would put make Julius a backup, or at least just not play him next to RJ Barrett for a while now.
Yeah.
I just understand, like John made the point yesterday, the moment you make the pivot from Julius Randle is your starting power forward to he's not, he becomes the worst contract in the NBA. And
He already is the worst contract in the
I
NBA.
know this. I believe me. I know that's how you feel. But to the rest of the league, the conversation around him is not that. Like, as much as we feel that, the conversation, like, they weren't able to move him this offseason. Don't get me wrong. I think it's still going to be a chore. But the only way you can eventually move him, that it's not like this could turn into Joakim Noah stretching him, and one of the worst stretches ever, if it became like he's just a bench player on their contract for the next 4 years. And as much as the optics shouldn't be the primary focus of this team, you do have to kind of consider that when you're a team that's looking to attract new players to your team, you know?
You absolutely have to consider that. I think this is a big reason why I wanted to trade Randall last year as soon as possible, because the narrative was, well, we can't trade Randall. His value is as low as it's going to be, and we need to rehabilitate his value so we can get something for him, or at least don't have to give up some protected first round pick. But my thought was, actually, the further you get away from the all NBA Randall season, the lower his value is going to get, because other teams are going to say, wow, he is never getting back there. Clearly, this is who he is. And his value is just going to go further and further down. So waiting, I think, really was the worst move. I think you got to trade him as soon as, like, at least one NBA team could say, well, maybe all NBA Randall's still in there, or some approximation of him could be still in there. He just did this 9 months ago. He's got to still be in there somewhere. Now all the teams know that guy is gone. He's not coming back. He cannot shoot threes. He can't shoot mid-range shots. He can attack the rim and score in the paint sometimes, and he can make good, passing plays at times. But that comes and goes, and it's not going to be consistent. Just for a little bit of continuity on the last point, Randall's defensive Raptor this year is negative 3.9. Worst on the team, Obi's is negative 0.2. So Obi about a neutral NBA player defensively. Julius, one of the worst in the entire league. Last year it was the same kind of dynamic where Obi is about neutral and Julius is really bad. So
if I knew that there was just a trade sitting out there, I would be move him. In fact, I was on board with it during the off season, that this is a guy you have to move. I just don't think there's a trade out there right now that isn't as obvious. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. Well, tonight, hopefully he boosts that trade value even more, because they're playing the Minnesota Timberwolves. A couple notes on the Timberwolves. Like I said, they're 5-5 overall, 4-3 at home. Anthony Edwards on the season is 22 points a game, 22.8 points a game, 5 rebounds a game, 3.8 assists on 46% shooting from the field, 36.7% from 3 on 8 attempts. And then I don't know if this was a trend his first 2 seasons, but he's 65.8% from the free throw line this year on only 4 attempts. But you think RJ's got some free throw shooting problems. Anthony Edwards is LeBron James bad from the free throw line. Karl Anthony Towns is 22 a game, 22, 8 and 6, 22, 9 and 6 from, on the season, has led the Timberwolves in assists, actually leads the team in Timberwolves in assists on the season with 5.5 assists per game. He has led them in assists in 5 different games this year. That is the most of any other Timberwolves throughout this year. Shooting 48.8% from the field on 16.2 field goals attempts, 36% from 3 on 6 attempts, 88 from the line. These are their 2 big guns. Hold on, I've had something in my teeth for the last 10 minutes. I'm trying to get it, and it hasn't been getting out. And I can I know it was gross, everybody, that you saw that, and it's live, so we can't get rid of it. You gotta understand how necessary that was. That would have annoyed me for the rest of the pregame show. Anyway, the Timberwolves, as we said at the top, are 5-5. They just came off a 3-game losing streak that they snapped on Saturday against the Houston Rockets. So they haven't played since Saturday, so they're well rested. That was also the first game they played when Rudy Gobert went into health and safety protocols. So they were back at Cat at the 5, and the lineup that probably should work the best. The top 5 and bottom 5s for them are very fascinating, because they're 4th in pace, they're 4th in rebounds per game, and 4th in opponent field goal percentage. This is right around where the Knicks are, except for the pace. Now, they're toward the bottom in. Oh, excuse me. They're also first in opponent free throw percentage, which should tell you. It's tough to like say how much your defense has in like the opponent shooting free throws and making them. But when you play at a higher pace, that actually wears the other team out, which might create some tired legs, hence the low free throw percentage. They are 24th in 3-point percentage, so they do not shoot the three ball well. They also don't take a lot of 3-pointers. They're around where the Knicks are. But speaking of around where the Knicks are 30th in opponent 3-pointers allowed. The Timberwolves are 29th. There will probably I don't even know if there's going to be a lot of 3-pointers taken tonight or there's going to be no 3-pointers taken tonight because these teams don't take a lot of them as well. And to match how good they are rebounding the ball, they also allow a lot of rebounds as well. Every other stat that you look at on NBA.com as far as team stats are concerned, they're right in the middle between 12th and 18th. The most 500 middle of the road team that I could see. And they're missing Rudy Gobert tonight, so he will not be playing. I don't know. All of us, at least I paused a bit and got a little deja vu when I saw on Saturday that Rudy Gobert is out with health and safety protocols. Because the last time that happened, everything shut down for 2 years. But the Knicks will be facing a weaker defensively Minnesota Timberwolves team. XJ, what are the matchups you're thinking about tonight, or the strengths or weaknesses the Knicks might have against the Timberwolves?
Yeah, so I love your statistical breakdown. You kind of touched a little bit on everything that I've been thinking about. One thing I do want to say is that I think that this team is a little more dangerous without Gobert right now.
Really?
Just because their identity is so much easier to kind of understand and they kind of know what they all need to do. They run so much offense through Cat. Like, I do want to say that I think Karl-Anthony Towns is an underrated offensive player. He's been a top 10 offensive player in the league for the past 5 years. A true 3-level scorer, can shoot from the mid-range, from the three, has no weaknesses. His passing is completely underrated and has taken off to a new level this year with the usage that they're giving him, playing through him at the top of the key, which is what we're going to see a ton of today. He's almost like a poor man's Jokic in a way, but he's really ridiculous. I think he's top 5 among bigs in assist percentage this year, which he has never been before. So that's one thing to look at. But I really think it's what you talked about the 3-point shooting and attempts. This is like Minnesota's like the Knicks Western Conference twin, right?
Yes, very much so. Yes,
they play such a similar scheme. It's really funny. Like I was watching some highlights of Minnesota. I'm like, this is Tibbs coaching them defensive? Like why?
Which ironically, who was the last? Well, it's two head coaches ago.
A couple of coaches ago. It's like it was really interesting to watch, and they have a guy drop down 2 feet, 1 foot in the paint on the strong side, and daring teams to beat him with corner threes. And teams are like, sure, we can do that, and just like they're doing with the Knicks. So it'll be really interesting. I think it's going to come down to the 3-point shooting. Can Julius, RJ, Hartenstein, can they make enough threes to punish the way that Minnesota plays defense? Does Obi get enough minutes to kind of, be in there?
Just hit on what my P was going to be, Obi. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can talk more about Obi, but, as well as Reddish, I think is a big factor because he's been shooting the lights out from 3, especially on the catch and shoot. So, it's going to come down to 3-point shooting, I believe. And I think it's going to be who shoots better from 3, the Knicks or the Timberwolves. So that's kind of my big point.
I think this is a prime opportunity for a lot of Obi Toppin minutes. And I know we have the game against the Sixers as like Tibbs tried it and it worked. I pushed back on anybody that was like, Obi only got 15 minutes against the Celtics. In hindsight, like he could have had the Jericho Sims minutes and I would have been fine. He could have had 4 of the Hartenstein minutes. I would have been fine. And there's 8 more minutes and he's at 23. And I think we all would have been happy if he's just your backup 4/5 for the night. I don't know if game 9 is the game Tibbs wants to shorten it to a 9-man rotation, but look, you may have to soon because Evan Fournier is unplayable at this point. Where you have Julius as one of the worst defenders in the league. Where's Fournier on that?
Fournier is, barely an NBA player this year,
Really?
which is really sad. But like
Jeez.
I didn't even consider him when thinking about it.
He's like off the chart on a different page or
He's like off
something.
the chart, yeah.
Okay.
Like and actually, to be honest, if you're looking at Raptor specifically, last year Fournier was the only player on the Knicks worse than Randall
Yeah.
defensively.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just was trying not to think about Fournier, but good call, good call. You're
Well,
right.
his only defensible ability is what the Knicks brought him here to do. It's to shoot the ball. And he made more threes than anybody in the sport after January 1st. Like 41% from three Evan Fournier, I will live with. I believe he's still first on the team in effective field goal percentage. Now, granted, all of his shots are threes. I'm at the point where as soon as Quentin Grimes comes back, you go to a 9-man rotation and he's your backup too. And or Cam's your backup too. And I said it on the pod yesterday. The new Austin Rivers is Evan Fournier, unfortunately. And then
Making a lot more than Austin was, but
he was, but he becomes an expiring contract this summer. So
Mhm.
Austin Rivers was a weird 3-year deal where it was like all 3 years weren't guaranteed. So he had an opt out after each of the years. So it's more money, but if it really does work to the basketball side of things, then I guess you're okay with it. Which I know your point you just made about why are you like this with Fournier but not with Randall. I I do not pretend to understand the politics of doing this to a guy that just made All NBA. I know it shouldn't be about it. I recognize that has to be part of it. It just has to. Um, Having said all of this, the Knicks do take on the Minnesota Timberwolves in about 45 minutes, which is a good time to start to predict or pick what we think will happen tonight. Now, I haven't got anything from the guys as far as their picks for tonight, so I think it's just going to be you and me with betting and sweating. But as always, our pregame show, I should say once again, our pregame show is brought to you by the fine folks at Wynnbet. Download the Wynnbet app now or visit www.wynnbet.com. That's www.wynnbet.com to start winning. Sign up today to receive a special offer. You bet $100, you win $100. Download, bet, win. Okay, XJ. Knicks against the Timberwolves. The line as of tonight is 2.5. The Knicks are underdogs by 2.5 points. The money line for the Knicks to win is plus 120. The over/under for the game is 235. Where are you thinking? Well, what player, if you were to pick one, you think would have a good game tonight?
Yeah, so well, first I want to say Mens is in the chat calling you
Whoa,
out.
hold on.
You're getting called out right now.
Hold on.
And
I'm getting called out right now.
yeah, Mens is in the chat kind of
Okay, that's not what
giving
I
you
was
the business.
holding on. We have
Oh,
breaking
okay.
news.
What's going on?
The starting lineup for the New York Knicks tonight includes Cam Reddish and Jericho Sims. Hold on.
Whoa, Jericho.
I'm shocked. Shocked, I tell you. Okay. I will put the starting 5 on the board. So Hartenstein goes from playing the most minutes of anybody on the Knicks to now coming off the bench again. I'm shocked. So what do you think could be the thinking here, XJ?
I think there's yeah,
You're
there's
lost.
not thinking here. There's not
thinking here.
Jericho
Okay.
Sims is this it to guard Karl Anthony Towns? Because Towns is playing the center, right?
Mm-hmm.
We expect that to be the case. I have no explanation for why this would be a better matchup for Jericho Sims than it would for Hartenstein. I feel like it's actually the best matchup for Hartenstein. Towns is going to be on the perimeter. He's going to completely exploit Jericho. I kind of feel bad. I don't want Jericho to look awful tonight, but this does not look good. I have no idea.
I'm floored. I'm speechless. I say, like, I do not understand this move. My only thought, and it's not a great thought, is that Tibbs likes to keep that second unit together as best as possible. Like by hook or by crook, he was like, I am making sure I keep Obi and Quickly together on the bench together. Like that first year, even we were like Derrick Rose for Peyton. It's like, no, this second unit is elite. I want to make sure this keeps working. And then we had 9 games in a row where it worked, that the starters just had to play even, and then the bench could expand or take the lead. And that's like just like how it always worked. Um, I didn't think that was true with the bench so far this season, especially now that this bench has Evan Fournier on it. I just hope this. So okay, I said that Obi should take the Sims minutes, right? So could this be that Tibbs just wants like Jericho Sims to play 4 to 5 minutes at the start of the game so Hartenstein
I was
couldn't?
gonna say that. I was gonna say,
Yeah,
as you were talking, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was
yeah,
thinking maybe he just it's almost like an opener in baseball. Like he just
bingo.
wants him out there for a few minutes and then bring in Hartenstein fresh. Like that's the only way I feel like this is justifiable. We'll see how it plays out, but I do think Jericho is going to get exploited very early on. Towns plays like almost like a point guard up top. And I don't know how that's going to work out. I guess he doesn't want Cat just kind of banging in the post and doing what he wants, but he's elite from the perimeter, so I don't really see it.
Well, this makes my pick for tonight a lot easier then, because I was gonna do this hesitantly and now I do it a little more confidently. So my betting and sweating pick for tonight, I'm going Karl Anthony Towns over 45 plus points, rebounds, and assists.
Oh, points, rebounds, and assists. Okay, I thought it was just
All
points
three.
and rebounds. Okay, got it.
All
Got it.
three. He
I
will
like
have
that.
more than 45 points, rebounds, and assists tonight. So that is my betting and sweating pick tonight. I was already leaning towards this at the top. I think the Knicks have had trouble against these elite guys so far this year,
Yep.
especially elite guys that can play the perimeter, that can be threats from the perimeter, I should say. And in a game where the Knicks allow a ton of threes, this is a guy that can take a ton of threes. I think you're getting potentially double-digit 3-point attempts from Karl Anthony Towns tonight. Could see a high scoring game, but you could also see, I very easily could see like 29, 11, and 8 or 6 even. And that gets me there. So I am
Yeah.
going the over from Karl Anthony Towns. Points, rebounds, and assists over 45 for 100 to win 155. XJ, what's yours?
So I just want to say I really like that because of the assists and rebounds. So Towns doesn't have a 30-point game this year. He's extremely efficient, but is not high volume. So he's a lot of times around the 14, 15 field goal attempts, but very efficient with them, hits a ton of threes, and is going to pick the Knicks apart with assists tonight. Absolutely, you can book that. So, so I like the 45 from all around. I don't think as many of them are coming from points as we might think, but I think he's all around solid. So,
all right.
And then on my end, so I want to name a few players, and then you tell me what they all have in common. All right, you ready?
Okay.
So Santi Aldama, John Conchar, PJ Washington, Dean Wade, Kevin Love, DeAnthony Melton, Sam Hauser. What do all those guys have in common?
Backups that hit a ton of threes against the Knicks.
So yes, I don't know if they're all backups. Some of them might be starters, but that is absolutely true. And also, they have all hit their season high in threes made versus the Knicks.
Jeez.
Every single one of those guys has their season high in threes made against the Knicks. We've seen this as a trend. I like to bet on player props on Knicks opponents because it's really clear how the Knicks are going to play defense, and it kind of sets up for the game to go a very specific way. All those guys hit their season high in threes. I think we're going to see something similar tonight. I was between either Jaden McDaniels for 13 plus points and assists at plus 110, or Taurean Prince 14 plus points and assists at plus 115. I think I'm going to go with Jaden McDaniels. He's going to play a ton of minutes tonight. He might play some time at the 4. He's going to play with Kyle Anderson a lot, who's horrible, and I think he's going to get a lot of shots up. So I got Jaden McDaniels 13 plus points and assists at plus 110.
Okay, so I did end up getting the bets from the other guys. So you're at, let's just recap. I'm at over 45 points and assists, and rebounds from Karl Anthony Towns. It's plus 155. You're at over 13 plus points and assists for Jaden McDaniels, plus 110. Mensa is at RJ Barrett to hit 3+ 3-pointers at plus 155, and Jaden McDaniel. Oh, 2 Jaden McDaniels props tonight. Sean has Jaden McDaniels 2+ 3-pointers at plus 150. Man.
I was looking at that one too. That's solid by Sean. I like that. I was looking at that one.
So we're all taking.
I like, yeah.
Good.
No, I was gonna say I like Mensa's too. I think the Knicks are gonna get up a ton of threes. It's just gonna be a 3-point shootout, and we'll see who comes out victorious. But yep, I like it.
So this is what it looks like straight. If you want to just, all of us have positive odds. The parlay for tonight, it's bet 100. It's plus 3,314.
This might be the parlay night. This might be. I mean, we hit one the other night.
We did. We hit one against the Sixers. All 4 of us hit.
I like all 4 of these. This might be another night for the parlay. So,
okay, all righty, folks. Any last words, XJ, before we head to the game?
Last words is just a big cat tonight. We're gonna see what he can do. How well rounded he is offensively, and if Sims plays a lot of minutes, we're gonna see it even more. So,
man,
we'll see in a few minutes.
I'm triple checking the lineup to make sure this is correct. You did nail it about the opener. Like this isn't even like just pitch the first inning. This is like when Craig Counsell used to do that weird thing where you go face one batter and then I'll take you out the game.
Right. Yep.
This could be like Sims. Go play 4 minutes. This way Hartenstein isn't playing 40 tonight. Yeah.
Yeah. I could see that. I could totally see that. And then chill out on the criticism for Tibbs. It's just, we're all ready to jump on it. A lot of us, I would say, are ready to kind of jump down his throat. But maybe that's the plan. And if that's the case, I think that's okay.
Well, so I think the first pushback would be if it's just 4 minutes, just play Obi. And my pushback to that would be like, you really want him to his first start next to Randall is against Towns?
No. I think Sims has a better chance against Towns than Obi would.
I do too. Granted, both of them not great chances, but
no one has a great chance. Yeah. Hartenstein has the best. No one has a good one, but All
right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in for another edition of the KFS pregame show. We do this a little close to an hour before tip-off of each game. Hopefully it is a happy recap afterwards, but whatever kind of recap it is, John will be there to break it all down. Associate producer Justin Palmer will be on the post game pushing the 1s and 2s. So shout out to Justin. Please give him a follow when he's on later. And of course, my co-host for tonight, XJ, please give him a follow. His handle is in his name tag on the screen. I'm GMAC. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. By the way, haven't said it yet because I think I said it too much yesterday, but it bears saying the New York Jets in 6-3. All of you need to recognize that. Enjoy the game tonight. Let's go, Knicks. Let's ride.